You think you know how to make a woman feel special. You've tried everything, compliments about her looks, her accomplishments, telling her she's different from everyone else. And somehow, none of it lands the way you hoped. Here's the truth nobody's telling you. The compliments that actually matter, the ones that create real connection, you've probably never said. Not because you don't care, but because you've been aiming at completely the wrong target. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will change how you connect with women forever. But before we go deeper, hit that like button right now. And if you want more content that actually works in real relationships, subscribe and turn on notifications. Trust me, you'll want to catch every upload. Most men think women want to be appreciated, valued, told they're beautiful. So they pour compliments like they're filling a tank, expecting something magical to happen. But here's what actually creates deep emotional bonding. It's not general appreciation. It's something far more specific and powerful. There are 3 types of compliments that bypass every defense and speak directly to the part of her she rarely shows anyone. And the third one, the one rooted in ancient wisdom, is why some men become unforgettable while others fade into the background. Let me tell you a story that illustrates the first compliment perfectly. In the winter of 1894, Marie Curie arrived at a laboratory in Paris. Most people noticed her dedication. Some noticed her beauty. But a French scientist named Pierre Curie noticed something completely different. He watched her one afternoon when she didn't know anyone was looking. She had just received experimental results that destroyed months of work. Instead of frustration or anger, her face went completely still. Then something incredible happened. She became curious, like someone who just received an invitation instead of a defeat. Pierre didn't write to her about her intelligence or her achievements. He told her what he had witnessed in that unguarded moment. He told her he had never seen anyone meet failure with such genuine curiosity about what the failure was trying to teach. Marie didn't fall for Pierre because he called her brilliant. She fell because he saw who she really was when nobody was watching. This is the first compliment women secretly crave, the unperformed compliment. Here's why this matters so much. Every woman you've ever met is running 2 versions of herself simultaneously. There's the performed version, carefully calibrated for whatever room she's in. The smile sized correctly, the laugh timed perfectly, the opinions softened to fit the people around her. She's been building this version since she was young, and it's exhausting in ways she can't fully explain, even to herself. Then there's the second version, the unperformed one. The way her face changes when she reads something that genuinely moves her. What she does with her hands when she's thinking and doesn't know anyone is watching. The expression she gets when a song hits her differently. Most men never see this version, not because it's particularly hidden, but because most men are too busy performing themselves to pay real attention. The moment you name what she does in those unguarded moments, something shifts. You're not speaking to the performance anymore. You're speaking to the actual person underneath. Research by Dr. John Gottman, who spent 4 decades studying successful relationships, found something crucial. The couples who maintained genuine connection weren't the ones who praised the loudest. They were the ones who noticed the most. Real noticing isn't passive. It's the most active thing you can do for another human being. Here's what this looks like in practice. When she gets absorbed in something and forgets you're there, notice what she looks like. When she makes a decision that surprises even her, notice that moment. When she holds a thought longer than usual before speaking, notice the pause. Then name it. Not as flattery, but as proof that you're actually paying attention. You could say something like, "The way you came back to that conversation 3 times tells me it's still unfinished for you. I think you already know what you actually think about it." Or, "You look like a completely different person for about 4 seconds when that topic came up." That's the part I find most interesting. None of these are compliments about her appearance. None are about her accomplishments. There's something far more intimate. They're proof that you've been present enough, undistracted enough, genuinely interested enough to see the real person behind the performance. This kind of observation registers neurologically as safety, as being truly known. And being known is one of the most powerful experiences a human can have.
But here's something important about that performed version. Sometimes it breaks.
Something real leaks through. A sharpness she usually holds back, an ambition she normally downsizes, a genuine refusal. And in that moment, what do most men do? They flinch. Let me tell you another story. In 1904, James Joyce stopped a woman named Nora Barnacle on a Dublin street because he liked how she walked. Nora was a hotel worker with no formal education and zero interest in the literary world that thought Joyce was important. She was blunt. When she disagreed, she said so directly. When she was bored, she didn't hide it. When Joyce tried to overthink their relationship, she reportedly told him to stop talking and come to bed. Nora refused every social script available to women at that time. She didn't perform refinement, she didn't soften herself for anyone. And Joyce, who had built his entire career on examining the gap between who people pretend to be and who they actually are, fell completely in love with her. Not with her virtue, with her transgression. This is the second compliment women secretly crave, and it's the one most men respond to with the worst possible instinct. Here's what I mean. Every woman carries an invisible rulebook she absorbed growing up. Rules about how she's supposed to present herself, how to modulate her ambition, how to respond to conflict. She doesn't experience these as external rules. They feel like who she is. But they're not who she is. They're who she learned to be in order to stay safe. Every woman breaks these rules sometimes. In moments of high emotion or intimacy, something real overrides the performance. She says the cutting thing she's been holding. She admits the ambition she normally wraps in apologies. She expresses anger with cold precision instead of the softness she usually performs. And in those moments, she's waiting for the response. The familiar micro-flinch that tells her she went too far. What she secretly craves, what she's almost certainly never received, is someone naming that moment not with discomfort, but with recognition. Someone saying, "That right there, that's the version of you I find most compelling." Research on self-expansion theory found something counterintuitive. The deepest bonds humans form aren't with people who confirm their existing self-image. They're with people who expand it, who make visible a version of the self that was previously feared rather than inhabited. When you name a woman's transgression with admiration, you're not just giving her a compliment, you're giving her permission to be larger than the social contract she's been operating inside of. Here's what this looks like. She makes a sharp observation at dinner, the kind she usually pulls back. Instead of the comfortable laugh that moves everyone on, you lean toward her and say quietly, "Say that again. That's actually the most accurate thing anyone said about it." She reveals an ambition without the usual qualifiers, something immodest and raw. Instead of tempered encouragement, you say, "Don't soften that. Say it like you mean it." She gets angry in that focused, cold, certain way she almost always suppresses. You look at her and say, "That's clarity. Most people's anger is just heat looking for a target. Yours knows exactly where it's going." You're not complimenting the performance, you're complimenting the transgression. And that difference isn't semantic. It's the difference between being appreciated and being fully witnessed. If you're finding value in this, drop a comment below and let me know which of these compliments hits different for you. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Real connection starts with real understanding. Now we get to the third level, the one that most men never reach. Not because it requires more sophistication, but because it requires something rarer: honesty about your own interior. In the year 532, the Byzantine Empire was hours from collapse. Emperor Justinian was preparing to abandon Constantinople. His generals had scattered, the streets were on fire, and advisors had ships ready for retreat. Then his wife Theodora spoke. She'd been born in poverty so complete, it barely registered as a life. She'd rebuilt herself from nothing twice before meeting Justinian. By every conventional standard, she shouldn't have been in that room. But she was. She stood before the assembled court and said, "Those who have worn the purple do not flee it. If you wish to go, Emperor, the ships are there. As for me, the purple is the finest shroud." Justinian stayed. The revolt was crushed. The empire held for another 9 centuries. What history records is the speech. What it doesn't record is what Justinian said to Theodora afterward. Accounts suggest it was closer to this. Before she spoke, he could not locate the emperor in himself. She returned him to that capacity. He didn't name what she was. He named what she did to what he was. This is the third compliment, the precision of desire. Not "you're beautiful," not "you're amazing," not even the vague "I don't know what I'd do without you." Precision, the surgical, specific naming of the exact effect she has on your interior. Not what she is globally, but what she does specifically, the mechanism, the particular way she operates on you that nobody else does. Most men, when they feel desire or gratitude, or the specific aliveness a particular woman creates in them, they feel it without words. Something is happening, they can't name it specifically, so they reach for the generic. And the generic, delivered to a woman who's heard it from everyone who's ever wanted something from her, creates the same response as background noise. Registered, filed, forgotten. Research on verbal affirmation shows that the need to hear affirming words isn't about praise in general, it's the need to be specifically located in another person's experience. To know not just that you're valued, but that you're the irreplaceable source of something particular. Something that disappears when you do. When you give generic praise, you confirm she's valuable. That's pleasant. When you name the exact mechanism through which she operates on you, when you identify the specific quality, the precise moment, the particular way she exists that creates a specific feeling in you, you do something completely different. You make her irreplaceable inside your narrative. And people who are irreplaceable in someone's narrative are not forgotten. This is what precision sounds like. When you hold a thought before you say it, that pause specifically, I find myself more curious about what you're thinking than almost anything else competing for my attention. Or, there's something you do when you're certain about something. You stop arguing and just become still. That stillness lands on me like a fact. Or, you have a way of asking questions that makes me feel like you already know the answer and you're giving me the chance to find it myself. None of these are generic. All of them require genuine self-examination to produce. All of them tell her not just that she's wanted, but why, with enough clarity that she knows you've looked at her with the same attention you'd give something you're trying to understand, not just possess. Here's what ties all 3 of these together. Ancient wisdom teaches that the primary discipline is perception, not action, not philosophy, but perception. The capacity to see what's actually there rather than what you expect or project. The unperformed compliment requires you to be still enough and present enough to see what she does when she's not trying to be seen. The transgression compliment requires you to be secure enough to receive the real person when she appears, instead of flinching. The precision of desire requires you to examine your own interior with enough discipline to articulate specifically what she actually does to you. All 3 demand the same thing, not better technique, better attention. This is what real wisdom means in intimate territory. Not cold detachment or emotional suppression, but the discipline of accurate perception applied toward another person. The willingness to look at what's actually there and name it without the distortion of ego, fear, or agenda. The men throughout history who made women feel devastatingly, permanently seen had one quality in common. They looked carefully, not at what they wanted, not at what was performing, at what was actually there. There's a question underneath everything I've shared today. We've talked about 3 things you could say to a woman: the unperformed observation, the transgression naming, the precision of desire. But what these 3 compliments actually require is that you become a man capable of genuine attention. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men aren't withholding these compliments because they don't care. They're withholding them because they haven't actually looked. Not at her, not at themselves, not at what specifically happens between 2 people when the performance drops and something real enters the room. The question isn't whether she deserves to be seen this way. The question is whether you've been paying enough attention to actually do it. Most men will watch this, feel something shift, and go right back to, "You look amazing tonight." But if you're ready for something deeper, something real, you already know what to do. Start paying attention. Start looking at what's actually there. Start becoming the kind of man who notices,